The Lord be with you. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Matthew. Jesus came to his native place and taught the people in the synagogue. They were astonished and said, "Where did this man get such wisdom and mighty deeds? Is he not the carpenter's son? Is not his mother named Mary, and his brothers James, Joseph, Simon, and Judas? Are not all his sisters with us? Where did this man get all this?" And they took offense at him. But Jesus said to them, "A prophet is not without honor except in his own native place and in his own house." And he did not work many mighty deeds there because of their lack of faith. The Gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ.
I always love this line. Is not this the carpenter's son? Like Jesus, he was proud to be known as the carpenter's son. And elsewhere we see the Gospels portraying him. Is not this the carpenter, the son of Mary? So our Lord was very accustomed to be known as a laborer, to be a worker, and probably what threw the guys off too. Who is this guy? Is he not just one of us, one of the laborers? But what today highlights, the Feast of St. Joseph the Worker, it highlights the dignity of work, the beauty of it, and then God instilled in us from the beginning. And we see in the book of Genesis that God commanded Adam to till the garden, to cultivate and till the garden, and then he gave him dominion over all the animals and everything. So there's goodness in it, and because of the fall, we now don't get it right. We now aren't born with the right work ethic, and I would say this goes both ways. I think the first natural inclination is just to be lazy, to not work. I think that is, especially as kids, you've got to be taught to work. We're inspired. We can be inspired, and some people more so than others, but still, we'd rather watch TV in the basement than go out and mow the lawn. You know what I'm saying? So we got to learn that work ethic, be inspired to work, to see the beauty in it. But then once we do, we got to temper it, because we can get too out of hand and work all the time, and work becomes our God. Okay, so it's an interesting reading, our first reading, that it really highlights the Sabbath, that God rested from work, and that's probably, I feel like, the hardest commandment in America today, to take Sunday as a day of rest. Okay, and it's so good because it makes us actually appreciate the dignity of work. You think of communism. One of the first things they did was force Christians to work on Sunday. If they could get them to do that, then it was just a hop, skip, and a jump to abandoning God. Okay, so that's one extreme, working all the time, workaholism, getting sucked into that. And then we don't see the dignity of it. We don't see the beauty of it. We're just wrapped around the axle. Okay, we take that step back to rest, to see that, hey, this is a way of glorifying God. And St. Joseph highlights that for us. He was a working man, for sure, but he also obeyed God. And we can see that in his dreams. He had to provide for the family, but God was first and foremost. Hey, don't go back to Nazareth, go to Egypt. Okay, I'm gone. That takes a lot of faith and a lot of priority. God's my priority, not work. And so to do that, we kind of got to get it right. First, we got to own the work ethic stuff, and our country isn't good about that right now because it's all about here. Just depend on me, Mr. Government. No, we got to learn to work. There's beauty in it. There's dignity in it. It's part of our human nature to co-create with God and to be responsible for things. But once we've learned it, we've got to temper it. We don't want to get sucked into it and just, this is all I do is work. And that can come in various forms. But I would say our church highlights today, take Sunday off, day of rest. Joseph did it. Jesus did it. Mary did. We're called to enjoy the day, not just sit around and twiddle our thumbs. Enjoy the day. It refreshes us, recharges us, not to be more productive, but to encounter God through our work. So Joseph offers us a lot today, so is our Lord for sure, of how to have that proper work ethic. to first establish it, to get off my lazy rear end and go to work, to appreciate it, but then to temper it. The Sabbath is a great way to temper it. Rest, it's a dignity. It draws us into the nature of God, that we can co-create with him. We can be responsible for things. It brings out the fullness of the human person.